let's have some silly and weird news. And David Chawner joins me now, who is a comedian and author. Dave, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm really well. It's lovely to speak to you. Right, we've got some weird and silly news coming up. What is the husband calling contest?
It is my new favourite contest. So for anyone that is uneducated in this, let me educate you. In the Midwest, it's a time-honoured tradition in the Iowa State Fair. So it is a coveted competition where you win first place ribbon. And guess how much the prize is?
I wouldn't have a clue.
I mean, are you thinking hundreds, thousands, maybe millions?
I'm thinking thousands, maybe.
$5. That's big stakes, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. Basically, it is lots of women coming together to call their husbands, and the winners were announced last week. However,
you don't mean phone them?
No, literally, as in call them up the stairs. They have 10 seconds to shout as if their husbands are upstairs. And I've gone into the darkest, deepest recesses of the internet, and they write articles about the best ways to do this. There are hints, there are tips, there's coaching sessions. But last year, I think was my favourite, a brilliant woman called Dawn Mania, who was 58 years old, decided to spin the whole thing on its head. And she did a never-before-seen tactic where she actually called for a husband. So she was a single lady, and she decided to turn this contest on its head and was calling for single men between 40 and 60 who, and she said, look, I work full-time, I own my own house, I'm lonely, will someone answer this dream? I want a husband now.
And did somebody answer?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the blokes came a-knocking when they realised that she was $5 up from winning this prize.
Yeah, I mean, what I wouldn't do for $5. Extraordinary. So I'm just trying to get my head around this. So, okay, so women are, either are upstairs or downstairs, and they go, John, if that's their husband's name. And is there a timed response?
No response. I think that would be too interesting. I think this is the dullest competition.
This is so bad.
Yeah.
So how do they judge who's won that massive prize?
Well, again, this is where the whole thing is so brilliantly bizarre. It's just down to an independent judging panel, and it's what they feel on the day. There's even diving has categories of finesse, and no, none of that. This is just
none of that. Literally just calling your husband.
Calling your husband for $5 and a ribbon.
I can't see that catching on. How many years have they been doing this?
That has been going. You know what? That's a really good question. It says that it's been going for years, but that could just mean 2.
No, it's definitely one of those things that's been going for like 200.
Well, another piece of brilliant weird news that I love that has been going for 58 years. In Dudley Library, a brilliant man called David Hickman, who's age 76, took back a library book that he had accidentally had for 58 years.
What was the fine?
Great question. They charged 20p a day, so it totted up to £42,340.
But he didn't have to pay it, surely?
No, they waived the fine. And the thing that I think that's brilliant about this story is he checked out a book called The Law for Motorists because he was preparing to go to court to defend himself against a minor traffic fine, and now he's kind of technically lumbered himself with 40 grand worth of debt.
Can you imagine that? But I mean, that was decent of him to take it back, because I'm sure the laws on motoring would have changed quite considerably since he took it out 58 years ago. For example, there isn't a man walking around with a flag in front of the car. Yes. So, I mean, that would have changed significantly, wouldn't it?
It is, and it's been a great week for motoring stories. There's one of my favourites, I think, this week is a billionaire has been fined for speeding on his own Hawaiian island.
How? If it's his own island, who fined
So
him?
this is the seventh richest man in the world. Apparently, he made his fortune because his wife entered the husband calling contest in Ireland.
Yeah, and
His
invested it
name
in
is
a library book. Yeah,
Yeah, what a racket!
what a
His name's
racket!
Larry Ellison. He admitted to breaking the law. He basically owns 98% of Lanai Island. It's a 90,000 acre island. He bought it for £247 million more than a decade ago. And the officer stopped him, not realizing who it was that he was stopping, even though it has its own private fiefdom. But he was in excess of the speed, and he absolutely agreed to pay the fine. But I mean, surely he's technically paying for that guy's.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, I would have pulled the "Do you know who I am" card. I think.
Would you?
Yeah.
Do you think you could do that in good faith?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd go, I own this island, mate. Back off. I'd do what I like. Thanks very much. But then I'm so corrupt anyway. Now,
Brilliant.
love this. Man creates a fake restaurant in London.
I love these kind of stories because I think it breeds into all of the horrible hipster stuff that's going on. There's a guy called Uber Butler who created a fake TripAdvisor account called The Shed at Dulwich, and he got all of his mates to give good reviews. He even bought his own burner phone in order to handle inquiries, bought a domain, and it spiraled. The thing that I love about this is that he said hotspots are all about quirks. I just needed a concept silly enough, and I think there's so much truth to this. Basically, his barometer was, what would annoy my dad? So he named all of the dishes after moods. He actually did a fake one-off evening where he charged people £70 to have a microwavable lasagna. Now, when Heston Blumenthal did that, you absolutely know people would pay at least double that.
Oh, God, at least that.
It's so weird. My dad was a butcher, and he remembers all the cheap cuts of meats like pig trotter and stuff, all of a sudden becoming trendy, whereas they used to be things that you'd used to boil up.
Yeah, I'll give to the dog. I still would. I wouldn't be. I don't like any of that awful offal.
If you are not one that's a foodie, then there is also another foodie-related story. A Dominican man was lost at sea for 24 days. His name was Elvis Francois. Basically, there were adverse weather conditions. His sailboat wasn't properly in condition, and he sailed off the harbour of St. Martin's, and all he had was some garlic powder, some gravy granules, which neither of those could really sustain him. So he lived on nothing but a bottle of ketchup for 24 days at sea.
But there's so much. That is a good food group, ketchup. There's a lot in there. No, seriously. You've got vitamin C. You've got sugar. You've got salt. You need the salt. You've got the E numbers. They've got to do something, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but and also he had a lot of salt water around him. I would have made some gravy with that.
And also fish as well. He could have done like a slap-up meal.
Yeah. What was wrong with him? Lazy. That's what it is. Lazy. Too busy trying to survive. Couldn't be bothered. He might have done well if there was a rabbit there.
Well, as it's come to the lunar month, this has shed a light on a brilliant story in Hong Kong. And it's actually not as ridiculous as it sounds. Like, apparently in Hong Kong, rabbits are really, really like the hot pet to get. And of course, it's the year of the rabbit.
Year of the rabbit. That's why, yeah.
So there is a rabbit hotel called Bunny Style, which again sounds a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to be.
I wouldn't be booking into it in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, you can book your bunny in there, and there's an offer of parties, spa treatments, special vegetable cakes made, and you can live stream video clips of your fluffy pets at any time you want. Now, I was really, genuinely, I think the thing that is really surprising about this is that it charges 15 Hong Kong dollars a night. And I thought with the exchange rate, that's going to be something ridiculous. It costs, if you convert that to sterling, £1.55 a night.
That's all right, isn't it?
I mean, I've been in worse places than this.
Yeah, you've probably spent a similar amount as a comedian as well. £1.55 a night. That's not bad, is it? And they get a party. I suppose parties are extra.
Yeah, parties are extra. We have to say that, as is the hairbrushing, the nail trimming, and the special cakes. Of course, we've all been there. But I think when you're paying £1.55 a night, I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as I stayed once in a hotel when I was doing Cardiff Glee, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, some burly guy from the Welsh Valleys just walked into my room and cuddled up to me, next to me, and it was.
See, I might have paid extra for that. To be fair, I like a burly Welshman, so that would be fine. How did he end up in your room?
Well, the lock on the door didn't work, and he thought it was his room because his key wasn't working, because it wasn't for his room. And he smelt quite a bit. He'd had one too many sherbets, and I thought.
And you didn't think to chuck him out?
Yeah, but I'm 5'0",
right.
and I am also like, the only time I've ever beaten anyone is at chess. So I was like, I really don't want this to get in any way physical.
So you couldn't challenge him to a game of chess at that time in the morning either?
No. I think it was more that I didn't want that rather than it,
And finally, if we can, according to our sister, The Times, naughty dogs are the smartest. I would have thought that was true. My dog is really well behaved, I'm going to say. Bit thick.
What breed?
Bit thick. He's a Shih Tzu cross.
Oh.
Yeah, he's adorable, but he's not the brightest button in the box, if you know what I mean. So he's very well behaved. But a friend of mine's got a cockapoo that's the naughtiest thing on the planet. I'm not sure he's very bright either, but and as for his dog, boom. But no, I'm not sure that the dog's that clever either. So if you've got a naughty dog, you can just say it's because he's really clever.
Yeah, exactly. This is why dogs are after my own heart yet again, because being someone who is, shall we say, intellectually challenged, I think that's a much better way to be. There's the University of Helsinki did an assessment of 5,000 dogs. They tested them for logical reasoning and problem solving, which I want to know more information on that. But they found out that many people came to the test and thought that sort of naughty dogs were just, sort of thick and stuff, but actually badly behaved dogs are actually the smartest.
I can imagine that though, because they know how to get away with stuff as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's also they don't get enough intellectual stimulation.
Yeah, my friend's dog definitely doesn't. Try and have a conversation with Timmy. And that's never going to go well for anybody who wants an intellectual moment. So have you got a dog?
I do borrow my doggy, which is basically like Tinder for dogs. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. It's absolutely incredible. We look after these two dogs, Alfie and Pippi, and we do it twice a week. It's the best thing I've ever done. I actually did a show last year about how I think dogs are better than humans.
Oh, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I mean,
even my lovely thick dog, he's just my favourite creature. He's amazing.
Well, I always say to people when people are sceptical, I always say I can prove it that dogs are better than humans, because I've read numerous articles saying that getting a dog can help boost your mental health and reduce stress. I've never read a single article saying having a baby can help boost your mental health.
Or in dog, I wonder if in dog magazines it says getting a human. It's good for your mental health. It's good for them. I love
the idea that some dogs are howling at the moon now, and what they're actually having as a conversation is you should get a thicker human because it makes your life easier.
Get a really stupid one, and then they feed you all the time and they forget. It's always a pleasure, Dave. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Good for a laugh. Dave Chawner then, comedian and author. So we're coming up, we're going to be talking sport with Sam Sport Stevens. So stay where you are.
The home of common sense, talk radio and talk TV.